All right. Hello everyone. I welcome you again to my channel, and this is the 10th part of TestNG tutorial series. All right. So what we are going to see today is test. I mean, sorry, data provider with inheritance in TestNG. All right. But before we start, I highly recommend you, encourage you to watch the part 9 of this tutorial. All right, because I'm going to refer a lot of things that we discussed in the last video in this video with this video. All right, so we are going to use the exact code that we used earlier. All right, and we are going to continue with where we left in the last video. All right, so let's quickly start. I hope if you haven't watched the video, it is a very small video, so just go and watch it and then come back to this video. Or if you have already watched it, you're more than welcome to continue ahead. So let's start. I'm sorry. Let's quickly get into Eclipse again. Okay. So this was the day. This was the test class test01 param, right? And we had two test method, and this is the data provider. And I told you that we should not keep test script and the test data in the same class. It is not a good practice. So let's remove this and put it in a separate class. All right. So all right, so I have already created a class, okay, a plain class here, plain Java class, test YT data, all right, just random name there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come to this class and I will just cut this piece, all right, just move it because everything is fine there, okay, the methods and all. So let me just paste it here, okay, all cool, all good. Now let's just save it, and since we don't need this import statement, let me just get rid of this because it will just show you some warnings. Well, it's always good to open some here. So now if you see, it has imported data provider and method automatically, method for this. All right, and since we are using data provider here, so data provider, all right, so all sorted. Okay, now let's quickly see how we can use how we can call this data provider, how we can link this data provider with this test, with these test methods that we have. Okay, so all you have to do is, okay, all you have to do is, the first thing that I mean, there are two ways. Okay, so let me just tell you the first way. We can inherit the class where we have the data provider. All right, so let me just go there and take this class name. This is a concept of inheritance. Okay, I believe you know Java already. Okay, okay, now you have extended this method. I'm sorry, the parent class, that is test y data, and this parent class has this method get data. So the test methods will have access to the data provider. Okay, let's quickly check because the rest of the thing has been done. Get data is the name of the test method. All right, and they both have the same data provider. All right, so let's quickly run and see. All right, so let's right click on this, run as TestNG. You can run either ways. Either you can go directly from the class or you can use suite. So because this class is handy, so I'm not creating a suite file, but it's your wish. Now if you see that it has executed the same number of tests with the same number of data, so that means we can pass data from a different class. This is a separate class and this is another class. Okay, and it has used extend keyword there. Okay, all sorted. So you can see, you saw that the inheritance concept is in place and it is being used without any problem. Okay, now there are some conditions as well. Okay, now this is plain inheritance. Now what if I don't want to use inheritance? How to do that now? Okay, what you can do is you can use a keyword. You will have to use an extra word here that will create a link between the test methods and the data provider. And the TestNG tells that the way you have to add is you have to write this name provider data provider class, right? Equals to you have to copy the name of this class, put it here. That means you have to tell this particular object that, hey, this is the class that you have to, and you have to add class here. So this is the class where my data provider is available, and you can fetch from the same, right? So we are just telling the test method that go and look out for this data provider. Okay, the method name is get data from this particular class. So if you have some other class where you have the data provider, all you have to do is you have to add this line here, and after equal to you have to put the name of the class and dot class. Similarly, since we are fetching the data for this test method as well, so we are just going to copy and paste it here. So a comma and this statement. Okay, that's it. So this is when you are not using the concept of inheritance. Okay, so let me just right click on it, run as TestNG. Sorry. And go. You can see that all six, both the test method were passed with the same set of data. Okay, so we saw with inheritance and without inheritance. Now there is one more thing that I wanted to tell you. Okay, and which is most important. So far we are very good, but now, say for example, this particular class where we have the data provider, it has a constructor, right? So let me just create a constructor of this class. Okay? And I will just write a sysout statement there. Sorry. System dot out dot print ln, right? And let me type here, I'm in class constructor. All right, cool. Now let's see what happens. Okay, I'll come to the point that I wanted to bring here, but let's see what happens. I have a constructor here and I'm running the same class again. Okay, now if you know, remember that we still have the connection, okay, intact. Right click, run as TestNG. All right, all good. Same set of tests were ran. Okay, and the constructor were called twice. Okay, since we have the constructor, so this will call the constructor first. Okay, so it has printed two statement. Okay, so the two constructor for each test, right? And then the test method were executed, all the data. So far so good, right? So now what will happen if we have parameterized constructor? Now this is not a parameterized constructor, it has just overridden the default constructor, right? We all know that if you know Java then. But what if we have something like this? We have parameterized it. Let's add a parameter name, and we are just printing the name with this statement. All right, all good. Just that I have added a parameter to the default to the constructor that I have. This is a constructor parameter. Now let's see what happens. Let me run this. Okay, and boom, we got an error, right? No test completed. Okay, nothing. All of them fail. The reason is we have a parameterized constructor, and we have to remember that if we have a parameterized constructor, I'm repeating, if we have a parameterized constructor, parameterized means the constructor which is accepting a parameter. All right, in that case, the data provider that you have to make it static. That's it, nothing. Okay, I'm repeating once more. If we have a parameterized constructor within the class where we have the data provider, for that case we have to make data provider static. Only then the test class where we have the test methods will be able to use the data provider in that class. All right, so let's quickly run and check. Right click, run as TestNG. Okay, now you see the error is gone and all of them has been executed successfully with the same set of data that we had. All right, so these are the few points that I wanted to show you. All right, now let's quickly go to the Selenium script that I told you in the first video, that we are going to see data provider. We're going to use data provider with our Selenium script. Okay, so all right, before we go to the code, let me just show you the site that I want to use. Okay, and cool. No, I guess let's see. Heroku login. Yep. Oh my god, just a minute, let me see. Sorry. Let me go to my script where I have written all the script, and let me take the URL that I'm going to use for this particular scenario. So I'm using this particular link, and if you see, we have a login page where we have to provide username and password and hit login. All right, when we log in, if our username and password is correct, then we will be able to successfully log in. All right, but in case we provide anything wrong, username wrong or incorrect password or anything like, then we will get an error. Okay, and what we are going to do is we are going to supply multiple set of incorrect username and password combination, so that uh, you know uh, we are not able to log in, and we are going to verify this particular message. All right, but since for password, if you put incorrect password, it is going to give you incorrect password. So, and the only thing incorrect, and for username, for incorrect username, it will say if your username is invalid, and for wrong password, if your username is correct, your password is invalid. So just for the simplicity, okay, what I'm validating is whether I'm getting this error message and it has this particular keyword is invalid exclamation. Okay, just for the simplicity. So let's uh, start. Let me quickly, okay, and this is within the same package that we use for the two classes that we have another class, Selenium. Okay, and if you remember, I have explained I have explained you what is, and what are annotations, and I have used before test, after test, all right, and at the rate test annotation. All right, so these three annotations. Okay, and we all know that for before, anything for before and anything with before, that is before test, before method, or before suite, or before class, we use them to set up our system, right? So for before test, within before set, we are opening the browser. Okay, so what we are doing here in this method is this is just a set up, sysout statement. We are setting the property, okay, for Chrome driver, and we are launching driver using new Chrome driver. And this is just, we are setting a position. I have multiple computer monitors, so I'm focusing this particular monitor. I'm making, the driver to focus on this monitor rather than any other monitor. And then we are maximizing the window, and then I'm setting an implicit wait of 10 seconds. All right, and then I'm launching the same site that I just showed you. All right, so this is the setup part, which is being handled by before test. And then after that, we are going to use the @test annotation, which will make my sign in as a test method. So what I'm going to do in sign in is we are going to search for the username text field, and we are sending username and then password, and I'm clicking on login. All right, and right after login, since we are passing incorrect data, we are going to get the red message that we saw, and I'm going to get for that particular element, we are going to get the text. All right, and I'm saving it in message, okay, in reference variable, and then I'm asserting TestNG assertion. I told you that it asserts equal, accepts actual and expected. So the expected is true, and true, that means this should give me some boolean, and that should be correct as well. So I'm just validating whether this particular text that we have in message, it contains is invalid exclamation. All right, as I told you. So that is the part of the test. Okay, because in test method we only do the validation, right? Each test method should have some assertion, right? Else it just becomes a step. And after that, I'm just closing the browser, driver.quit. Okay, this is just a sysout statement. So we have sysout statement for in before test, that is the setup, and sysout statement in after test. All right, now if you see, we have data provider down at the bottom. Okay, I'm keeping the data provider just for the demo here. Okay, and later on I will move this data provider to the data provider class that we have. Okay, and if you see here, the data provider name is data provider, which is this. Okay, and let me just get rid of this as of now. Okay, so if you, yeah, let me come to this data provider first. So the name of this data provider is dp method. Okay, and these are the data that we are passing. That is, these are all incorrect username and password combination. We can have multiple, I mean, if you want to add, as I told you in the last video, we can add multiple set of data here just below this, wherever you want to put. All right, so let me just quickly run this and see what happens. So this time, let's run it using TestNG XML file. All right, so let's create one. You can see the class, it has taken the class that we want, and let me just name it as Selenium. Okay, and finish. All right, you will see that an XML has been created. Right click on it, run as TestNG suite, and let's see. Okay, it has launched the browser. Oops, so sorry, just a minute. It has opened in a wrong window. Setup is needed, so just a minute. All right, so I have multiple monitor, and it was going to. It is still trying. Just a minute. Let me stop this. All right, so I have multiple monitor, and it was for some reason it launched the browser on a separate monitor, which is not within this the focused monitor which I'm recording. So I have set it to 1000. I mean, the changes, earlier it was 3000. I have pointed it to, I mean, setting the position to 1000. I tested that and it looks fine. So let's run it back again. Okay, so let me right click on it. I'm sorry about that. That's sweet. Okay, so ideally it should run 3 times. Okay, you can see the browser was invoked and maximized, and we are putting, okay, you saw that. We got the error message 3 times, done. Okay, so we ran this method, right, the sign in method 3 times. 3 times why? Because this data provider is providing 3 set of data, right? 1, 2, 3. So 2 parameters, it is accepting only 2 parameters, so 2 parameters. All right, so let's go and review the program, the result. Total test run 3, all pass. Let's go here, and if you see here, sign in, sign in, sign in. The first sign in took these values, username and password. The second sign in took these values, and the third one took these values. They all are incorrect, so they gave the error message which had this text, and I'm just validating it, right? So as I told you that we can just get rid of this from this class, as I told you that it's not good to keep in the same class, and we are going to keep it here, right? Control S. Okay, and we are going to link this class with new class, right? This class. So where are we using the data provider? We are not using data provider for before test or after test. We are using in the test. So I told you that in order to make a link, either we need to inherit that class, or we can provide uh, the the name data provider, okay, class, okay, I hope that's correct, equals to the name of the class that has the data provider, that is test by data. Okay, and paste it dot PLASS. All right, oops, sorry, triple S. Okay, so I guess fine, the error is gone, and if you remember, we have this parameterized. So we have to set this data provider again to static, right? All set. If we don't have this, in that case, if I mean, either we don't have constructor at all, or we don't have this as parameterized. Okay, in that case we don't need static, but since it is parameterized, so we have to add static to the data providers that we have. Okay, now let's quickly run again just to check if everything is working fine. Okay, so one last run. Right click, run as TestNG suite. Right. We're running with the same set of data, same error message, same validation. Cool, done. And we have all of them passed, all green, so we are good. Okay, now I want to tell you one more thing, right? Just one more. Say for example, we are passing, or let's take this example, it will be easier for you, okay, to understand. We have the data provider for this class as well, right? The class that we used last. And if you haven't referred the last video, let me just tell you that we have two test method, test add and test length, and we have already linked the data provider, uh, get data and get data, that is this data provider, with this test method, right? So when we are running this, it is going to take this data for the first method, that is the add one, and this method for the get length one. All right, so now say for example we are going to fail one of the tests and see what happens. Say for example 5 plus 6 is 11, let's make it 12, and let's fail this test as well. Instead of 7, let's make it 10. Okay, so YouTube length is 7, but I'm expecting 10. Okay, so this is going to be fail. The system will give me 7, but it will match with 10 and it will fail. Okay, so let's see what happens. Let me run this class. Okay, right click, run as TestNG. Okay, now if you see we have test failing. Okay, but if you see the past one, 1 2 3 4 5, all right, but I'm sorry, 1 2 3 4 5, yeah, sorry. So let me see the number of data that we are passing. So 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 data, and we were expecting 2 of them to fail, right? So 2 failed, 6 passed, failed, uh, this one failed, and this is the reason. Again there is another one which failed, test length YouTube 10. Okay, and this is the addition one, 5 6 12, right? So 2 tests failed and 6 passed, I'm sorry, 5 passed. So if you see the number of test cases that it has executed is 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, out of which the green ones are the passed one and the one with the blue one, right? So this one, click on this, you'll find error, and if you click on this one, you'll find error for that as well. So if you see, this is red one. So if you notice, uh, it has executed despite there was a failure in the middle, right? Despite there was a failure in the middle, it did not stop your execution there, right? It continued. So this is the property of assertion, TestNG assertion, that if your if the test fails for one of the data, it will continue with the next set of data. Okay, so this is what I wanted to show you quickly, because I have not shown this, because we haven't discussed assertion, but since we have brought it up, we are using it, so I wanted to tell you. Okay, so let me just recap what we had learned in the last two videos, I mean this video and the early videos. Okay, let me just quickly recall everything. So let's see if we have covered everything here. So data provider has only one attribute, name. We saw that, right? We have the attribute it accepts is only name, and in case we don't have name, then it takes the name of the method, so which is written in the second one. In an absence of the attribute, method name is considered by default, right? We saw that. And right, let me just quickly show you that, if in case you are not able to relate. If you see here, data provider, this is get data, and these data are used in this class. And within this, we can see the data provider, we are giving the name of the method, right? This is the name of the method and not the data provider. Because if you want to pass the data provider name, then we have to add here, right? Name and all. Okay. Yet again, if you are not understanding, please refer the first video of this part of this series. I mean, you know, the video number 9. Okay, and it returns a 2D array object, right? We saw that it gives you 2D two-dimensional array object, rows and columns. And then next is can be configured to fetch data from external source such as Excel and database, which is discussed. I haven't showed you this part as a part of these videos, but we are going to cover that in future, okay, very soon. And after that, test method can access data providers uh, I'm so sorry, yeah, defined in different classes with and without inheritance. I showed you that if you use the extend keyword, then you can easily access the data provider, and if you don't use it, then you can use, but all you have to do is you have to write this statement there, this line, right? You have to give the name of the class to data provider, right? So that it knows where the where the data provider is lying. Okay, and thereafter, this is the last one, the most important. If data provider method is in a separate class with a parameterized constructor, I have highlighted this, right? I've bolded parameterized constructor, the method should be made static. We saw that as well, right? So this is my parameterized constructor of this class. So that's the reason why the data providers are static. And we saw that if we don't keep static, it gives us error, right? We saw that, so that we saw that as well. So we have seen all of these points with examples. I hope I have cleared everything. In case there is anything, please type it down in the comment box. I will be more than happy to answer you. In case I know, I will answer you straight away. Else, I will do some research. I will do some analysis. I will, see if it works. Then I will answer you. If it requires, a video, I'll publish that as well. So I hope you like the video, and that is it for today. And we will meet again in the next video with some new topic, interesting topic from TestNG. So have a good time, and please like, subscribe the channel in case you haven't. All right, and if you like this video, please type something in the comment box. Okay, I will be more than happy to see a comment message from you. Okay, thank you very much. Have a good time.